Hi. Ladies and gentlemen, I am Gaurav Kripalani. I am the artistic director of the Singapore Repertory Theatre. I will be your host for the awards ceremony 2026. Thank you. I need to just begin by apologizing to a few friends here, because if you go to the ISPA website under the awards section, there are 6 photographs of awardees, including mine. So I have had wonderful friends come up to me at every single coffee break and congratulate me on getting an award. On day 1, I was like, no, I'm just hosting the award. But by the second coffee break on day 2, I was like, thank you very much. By day 3 this morning, I had someone who said, I'm so sorry, I can't stay for the awards. I have another meeting, but congratulations. And I just feigned indignation and hurt, and it's been fun. But I promise you, the people who are going to get awards are absolutely deserving of this incredible honor. I am delighted to be here hosting. I'm so glad you've all stayed for this. But before we kick this off, we actually have a wonderful surprise performance. You are going to get to witness a dance piece of Martha Graham's Ecstasis performed by PeiJu Chien-Pott. Could you please join me in welcoming her on stage? Okay, so the ISPA Awards always kicks off with the presentation of the Distinguished Artist Award. This year is very unique because we will be presenting two distinguished artists. The first we are about to present, and the second will be presented at the end of the ceremony. The Distinguished Artist Award is presented to artists who have made an outstanding contribution of talent, artistry, dedication, and service to the world of the performing arts. The contributions of these award recipients have gone above and beyond their prowess as artists. The nominating statement for the first honoree reads, "The Martha Graham Dance Company was the singular most influential voice of contemporary dance in the 20th century. The artistic imprint continues as the company celebrates its centennial in 2026. inspiring global audiences and advancing Martha Graham's enduring legacy. Please welcome on stage Alicia Adams, International Arts Consultant, to present this award.
Well, thank you, but I'm not getting the award. But I must say, Exasis is the perfect piece to start this off. 100 years. 100 years of a dance company. It is a distinct honor for me to present the next award on this remarkable occasion, celebrating the centennial anniversary of a modern dance company that continues to carry the legacy of its founder. No other modern dance or contemporary dance company worldwide can claim a century of existence. While the Rockettes celebrated their 100th year in 2025, their history differs from that of this distinguished institution. Martha Graham rightfully holds the title of Mother of Modern Dance. Many legendary artists, including Paul Taylor, Merce Cunningham, Eric Hawkins, Jose Limon, Anna Sokolow, Pearl Lang, Dottie McHale, Elisa Monte, were influenced by Graham and subsequently established their own companies. Graham was both rebellious and revolutionary in her approach, reshaping American and global dance throughout her innovative works and methodologies. After years with the Denishon Company, she founded her own ensemble and developed a groundbreaking technique, eliminating non-essential movement and set decoration from her performances. Driven by a desire to make dance reflective of the human experience, Graham has often been described as primal and pioneering. Her collaboration with composer and pianist Louis Horst was pivotal. He encouraged Graham to develop a unique movement vocabulary and principles of choreography focused on simplicity, expressiveness, and clarity. The technique gained international acclaim, attracting students who would later teach it around the world. The company's roster mirrored its inclusive spirit, featuring dancers such as Yuriko Kaimura, Bertram Ross, Mary Hinkson, Diane Gray, David White, Matt Turney, Jose Limon, Eric Hawkins, and Donnie McHale. Signature works including Appalachian Spring, with music by Pulitzer Prize winner Aaron Copland, Aaron into the Maze, Clytemnestra, Frontier, Night Journey, and Letter to the World. Explored themes rooted in Americana and Greek tragedy. Japanese-American artist Isamu Noguchi became one of Graham's most significant collaborators. In recognition of her contributions, Martha Graham received the Presidential Medal of Freedom in 1976 from President Gerald R. Ford, becoming the first dancer and choreographer to receive America's highest civilian honor and to be declared a national treasure. She was also among the first recipients of the National Medal of Arts under President Ronald Reagan in 1985, and earned the Kennedy Center Honors in 1979, a distinction first awarded to a dancer choreographer. Her company was also the first to travel abroad as a cultural ambassador. Graham stood her ground. 90 years ago, she responded in this way to the German government's invitation for her to participate in the Cultural Olympiad in 1936. And I quote, she said, "I would find it impossible to dance in Germany at the present time. So many artists whom I respect and admire have been persecuted, have been deprived of the right to work for ridiculous and unsatisfactory reasons, that I should consider it impossible to identify myself by accepting the invitation with the regime that has made such things possible. In addition, some of my concert group would not be welcomed in Germany." This is 90 years ago. Inspired by the events surrounding the 1936 Olympic Games and Nazi propaganda, Graham created American Document in 1938. The piece articulated American ideals and democracy, representing the rights and injustices of the era, including Native American heritage and slavery, serving as a powerful statement against fascist ideologies. For 70 years, Graham danced, choreographed, and sustained her company. Since her passing, the organization has navigated challenges, but over the last 2 decades has certainly thrived under visionary leadership. The artistic and executive directors have commissioned new works alongside Graham's masterpieces, expanded the reach of pieces like Lamentations, and pioneered dynamic educational programs, ensuring ongoing resonance with new generations and continued national and international tours. As the company marks its 100th year, it will even move to a new home, this time on Broadway. It has been a pleasure to engage with the current directors regarding these centennial celebrations and to have worked for the last 20 years with their agent, Rena Shagan, to bring the company to the Kennedy Center. The Kennedy Center, my last season of curating at the Kennedy Center is this year. The Graham Company has been invited to perform, and things have not unfolded as I have hoped for this entire season, but we will see what will happen. It is with great pride that I present the ISPA Distinguished Artist Award to the Graham Company and the 2 exceptional leaders who have the perfect marriage to continue to shape its legacy. Artistic Director and former Graham dancer, Janet Eilber, and Executive Director, LaRue Allen. Please join me in welcoming them to the stage.
Thank you, Alicia. It's wonderful to have you present this to us. And it's wonderful to receive this award. You know, it's impossible to consider Martha Graham's social impact and her revolutionary influence without recognizing, as you are today, the contributions of her most essential collaborators, the dancers of her company. In our first 12 years, the company was made up of all women, and many of them first-generation Americans, the young Jewish women for whom Martha refused the Nazis' invitation to dance at the Olympic Games in Berlin. They worked during the day and rehearsed with Martha at night, and they embarked on our first international tour, crisscrossing the continent by train to bring Martha's radical new form of American dance to cities from Vancouver to Tallahassee. I've often wondered if those earliest members of the Graham family realized their essential role in creating a legacy of innovation that is still propelling the Martha Graham Dance Company. They provided the foundation for all that has followed, from our thriving school, which is also 100 years old, to performances around the world, and so many partnerships, commissions, and creative projects that keep us reaching into the future. I can't imagine anything more fitting to honor how influential and indelible Martha's legacy has become than this international recognition. So for LaRue, our board, staff, and all of their predecessors who have helped hold our company together over the years, and for every one of the over 400 dancers who have been members of the Martha Graham Dance Company, giving their blood, sweat, tears, heart, and souls. We thank ISPA for this great honor. Thank you so much.
Our next award is the Angel Award. The Angel Award is presented to an individual or organization which has demonstrated a significant and lasting contribution to the support of the performing arts, which transcends the boundaries of one country or institution and merits international recognition. This achievement may be through outstanding leadership, advocacy, philanthropy, innovation, scholarship, or curatorship. The nominating statement reads, Dame Carol Colburn Grigor is a renowned philanthropist, arts advocate, and musician whose generosity has shaped classical music and the visual arts worldwide. Please welcome on stage Joe Buckley, Chief Executive of the Dunnard Centre Scotland, to present the award.
Good afternoon, everyone. It is difficult to know where to start in capturing the breadth and depth of Carol's impact upon the arts across the globe. And I don't just want to give you a dry and meaningless list. I would also really like to try and capture a little of Carol's character for you too, to give you a sense of her passion, her vision, and her individuality, which is not easy in just a short few minutes, but I will try and do her justice. Carol is a one-off, sparky, quick-witted, ferociously intelligent, often outrageously funny, and always deeply thoughtful. She has extremely high standards, and rightly so, and she demands the same level of commitment, integrity, and hard work from those around her as she gives herself. But perhaps most importantly, as a musician herself, she understands the importance of art for art's sake, and her work is underpinned by her belief in the profound impact that culture, and music in particular, can have on people's lives. She's also bound by a deeply ingrained moral code inherited from her father, the great Richard Colburn, which drives her desire to keep giving. She recalls that at home he would preach the model of the great Andrew Carnegie, regularly repeating his famous maxim, "The man who dies rich dies disgraced." Carol does not part with her wealth reluctantly. On the contrary, she understands the transformative potential of philanthropy in a world that needs the art more than ever, and she takes real joy in making the impossible possible. She is, in her own words, a happy philanthropist. But she is also a quiet philanthropist who avoids the limelight wherever possible. You will never see her name in flashing lights, and you will almost certainly never know the true figure of her giving, but some estimates put it at $500 million in the UK alone. When Carol was awarded the prestigious Carnegie Medal of Philanthropy at a ceremony in Edinburgh last year, she was the only recipient not to have filmed a piece to camera about her work. And when Louise Richardson, president of the Carnegie Corporation of New York, introduced Carol's award, she admitted it was almost impossible to give an accurate picture of Carol's philanthropy because she is so determined to fly beneath the radar. And yet, her giving spans continents and time zones, crosses art forms, and is represented by organizations of many different shapes and sizes. To give you just a flavor of the international breadth of Carol's giving, her philanthropy is represented across the globe by the Edinburgh International Festival, the Australian Chamber Orchestra, the Monteverdi Choir and Orchestra, the National Library of Scotland, the Colburn School, the Metropolitan Opera, the Scottish Chamber Orchestra, the Royal Irish Academy, the Wigmore Hall, Glyndebourne Opera, the London Philharmonic Orchestra, and many, many more. I have the honour of overseeing the Dunnard Centre, Edinburgh's first new concert hall in Edinburgh for more than 100 years, a project that was dreamed up by Carol more than 20 years ago and which is a gift to a city that she loves deeply. Her support of that project alone far surpasses any single donation ever made to a cultural project in Scotland and, we are led to believe, anywhere in the UK. If that weren't enough, at the same time, she is also the principal donor behind a new National Centre for Music, also in Edinburgh, a facility that will act as a catalyst for music education, nurturing and promoting Scotland's musical talent. Just a couple of weeks ago, Carol received a damehood in the King's New Year Honours, a testament to a lifetime of unswerving support for the arts. In the citation, the awarding body noted that one of Carol's outstanding qualities is her willingness to take risks, making donations that enable projects to get started and thereby inspiring others to follow her example and contribute. Surely, that is the real definition of an angel, someone who not only goes above and beyond in supporting others, but encourages them to do the same and to pass it on. People of ISPA, it is my huge honour and privilege to present the ISPA Angel Award 2026 to Dame Carol Colburn Grigor.
Thank you, Joe. Thank you, everybody. Jo is what I call a co-conspirator. She's great, and she's just the kind of person that I always want to be leading these organizations, what I call somebody who will lead them over the barricade. Come on, let's go. It's like Peter Pan. Everybody been on the Peter Pan ride with their kids in Disneyland? You get into a car and they slam you in like this, and you go into this dark tunnel, and then you hear Peter Pan's voice. And this is what I always want to hear in an organization, a new startup. Hang on, everybody. Here we go. That's what it's about. You need that extra energy. But let me get back to me. And you've heard all about me, what I do, so that's okay. But there's something I need to explain to you from the beginning about me. And that is that I have a very expensive hobby. It's called philanthropy. And that's what we learned, my family learned from my father. A father who dies rich, dies disgraced, or dies alone, which is worse. But anyway, so we grew up with that, and we have a friend of my father's. He's still alive, and he really personifies everything that we believe in. He said, I'm just like your dad. I'm determined that I'm going to give it all away in my lifetime. I'm so determined that my lifetime, my death wish, my hope when I'm dying is that the check for my funeral will bounce. So that's what we do. But the other thing about philanthropy, Joe is right. Louise did say that about me, but I said it about all philanthropists. Philanthropists are happy because they're addicted to this lovely little thing, and it's not just to do with giving money, but a gesture, a kindness, helping a lady across the street. Anything you do of yourself, which is helping somebody else and giving to somebody else, and they say, oh, thank you. You get a little rush of endorphins. And this is not just some fantasy. This is a scientifically proved fact, that there is a rush of endorphins when you do something for somebody else. It makes you feel good about yourself. And this is why there's no such thing as an unhappy philanthropist. And philanthropy should be addictive. We should all be doing it. And it's not just a question of giving it so that you have the satisfaction of seeing it done in your lifetime, but that you're there to supervise it. I mean, to cheer them on and to, poor Joe, I had to see, just be brave, hang in there, because we were, frankly, in despair a few times over this, but she knows how to talk to a stingy Scotsman. And she got the last 20 million we needed out of a very nice Scotsman, but oh boy, he sits on his pennies. And John Swinney, our first minister of Scotland. I shouldn't say ours. I live in Ireland, by the way. I just embrace my old homeland. So I don't really have very much to say. I'm just so honored and happy to be here. My first kind of international recognition, I think. And the idea of being an angel, I mean, I feel like I'm sprouting wings, but not posthumously, like most angels, but prehumously. So thank you very much.
Our third award is the International Citation of Merit. The International Citation of Merit is presented for unique lifetime achievement which has enriched the international performing arts. This award is not for performance, but rather for distinguished service working within the profession. Recipients may be a past or present member of ISPA. The nominating statement reads, Teshome Wondimu has played a transformative role in presenting African music on the global stage. Through his vision, dedication, and unwavering commitment to cultural exchange, he has created platforms that amplify African artists, broaden audiences, and strengthen the continent's artistic voice worldwide. Please welcome on stage Stefan Hansen from the Swedish Embassy in Washington to present the award.
Good afternoon, ISPA. How are you doing? Good. Hej Teshome. Och hej till din familj som också sitter här och som är så himla stolta över dig. It's a true honor to present the International Citation of Merit to Teshome Wondimu, a visionary whose work has reshaped the cultural landscape far beyond his roots in Sweden and Ethiopia. Teshome's journey is extraordinary. From his early days as a musician in Addis Ababa to advanced studies in Moscow, and later his move to Sweden, he has consistently combined artistic excellence with a deep commitment to cultural development. In 1997, he founded Selam, which has grown into a leading force for global cultural exchange and creative innovation, with offices in Stockholm, Addis Ababa, and Nairobi. Through Selam, Teshome built a platform that not only celebrates music, but creates sustainable cultural ecosystems connecting Africa, the diaspora, and Europe. His initiatives from Selam Festival Addis to Musikawi have strengthened the cultural sector, championed artistic freedom, and opened doors for countless artists. I've had the privilege of working alongside Teshome and witnessing his dedication to long-term cultural exchange. He understands that culture is not just about performance. It's about building systems, institutions, and policies that allow creativity to thrive. His decades-long advocacy for public investment in culture and Pan-African cooperation reflects this vision. And if I know Teshome, this is only the beginning. Big things are ahead for Selam, for the artists it supports, and for the audience it inspires. Kära Teshome, dear Teshome, for your unwavering commitment to international cultural dialogue, your leadership in advancing creative industries, and your vision of culture as a cornerstone of democratic development, it is my great, great honor to present the International Citation of Merit to you, Teshome Wondimu. Please give a warm applause.
Thank you, Stefan, for those generous and kind words. Dear friends, colleagues, and members of ISPA, thank you for this honor. I received this International Citation of Merit Award with deep gratitude and humility. To be recognized by ISPA, an organization that stands for international cooperation, artistic excellence, and solidarity in the performing arts means more to me than I can fully express. This award is not about one person. It reflects collective work and shared belief. I accept it on behalf of my colleagues at Selam, the many artists and culture work I have worked alongside, and the partner and community across Africa, Europe, and beyond, who believe in culture as long-term commitment. I would also like to thank my family, my wife, my daughter, and my father-in-law, who are here today, and the rest of my family in Ethiopia and Sweden. Your support has been my strength. Living and working in Sweden gave me opportunity that shaped my life, access to education, trust, and freedom built something over time. With those opportunities came a responsibility to give back to Ethiopia, to Africa, and future generation of artists whose voice deserved to be heard. When I found Selam, the vision was simple but demanding: to build a bridge between Africa, the diaspora, and Europe, and to treat culture not as a short-term project, but as a responsibility rooted in our shared humanity. In a world facing division and shirking space for free expression right now, international solidarity in that art is essential. Culture has the power to connect us, to protect democracy, and to remind us of our shared humanity. This is, of course, much to be said about justice in the world right now, but I will leave that conversation for another time. I accept this award with a commitment to continue the work with humility and determination to strengthen the culture field and to uphold the right of everyone to create and experience culture. Thank you to ISPA for this recognition. Thank you to everyone who has been part of this journey. And thank you for believing in the power of culture. Thank you.
Okay, we now come to the Patrick Hayes Award. Patrick Hayes, founding president of ISPA, was a change maker in our field. Inspired by his legacy, this award recognizes an ISPA member in any stage of their career who has demonstrated transformative leadership in the performing arts. Recipients may be recognized for innovation in any area of arts management. The nominating statement reads, Gary Dunning has dedicated over 40 years to the performing arts, shaping organizations, supporting artists, inspiring colleagues, and expanding access to live performance for local communities. Colleagues often describe him as a leader of integrity and honesty whose steady presence creates trust across the field. Please welcome Amy Lam, performing arts consultant and principal of the Lam Ling Group, to present the award.
Hello, my name is Amy, and I'm a recovering presenter. Before I became an independent performing arts consultant, I've had the pleasure of working alongside Gary Dunning for over a decade as the artistic director for the Celebrity Series in Boston, now Vivo Performing Arts as of a few days ago. I still remember when he was first appointed as the series' new executive director 15 years ago. I didn't really know him that well and didn't know what to expect. So when I told folks in the industry that he would be our new CEO, the comments were, wow, that's so great. He's such a nice guy. Or, he's one of the good ones. Or I particularly love this one. Well, he's from New York, but he has integrity. It's clear that the consensus is that we've done well and picked a well-liked and well-respected person with integrity. Well, Gary was eager to get started right away, and he and I started to meet regularly soon after he was appointed. In one of our first meetings, he asked me, "What have we planned so far for the Celebrity Series' 75th anniversary season?" I lowered my head, and I thought about it for 2 seconds, and I said, "I'm sorry, but when is our 75th? I knew right there and then that I and the organization, and especially the board, really need to step up our strategic game to keep up with this new guy. Well, within a few years, Celebrity Series took on a completely different identity and role in Boston. We celebrated our 75th in grand style with multiple outdoor public projects, along with, of course, one of our most diverse performance seasons. Under Gary's leadership, the Celebrity Series launched neighborhood arts, activating and engaging a wealth of talented Boston-based artists and producing concerts and events in numerous neighborhoods in and outside of Boston. And all of a sudden, Gary seems to be everywhere. Our main stage concerts, community events in different neighborhoods, panel discussions about state funding, advocacy, fundraisers for mayoral elections and transitions, and you name it. That New Yorker with integrity became one of Boston's own, one of the most visible and engaged arts leaders in the city, demonstrating in practice that when the arts and civic engagement intersect, our communities not only come together, but they flourish. So don't let his mild manner fool you. Gary's is determined, ambitious, and when he sets his sight on something, do not get in his way. And of course, before Gary joined the Celebrity Series, he's already had an illustrious career leading the American Ballet Theater, Houston Ballet, and the Big Apple Circus. He was never a presenter until he arrived in the Celebrity Series, but he shaped the position and by extension, the organization, and redefined what a presenter truly means and the role that in which it plays in his community. Therefore, it cannot be more fitting for Gary to receive the Patrick Hayes Award today. Patrick Hayes was a change maker in our field and set up a model by championing everybody in, nobody out. Gary showed us what a legacy organization like the Celebrity Series can continue to evolve in the 21st century, embodying the values and the community in which it serves. So now it's my distinct honor to present ISPA's 2026 Patrick Hayes Award to Gary Dunning.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Thanks to the ISPA Board of Directors. It means a great deal to me. And congratulations to the other recipients. It is humbling to be in your company. And if any of you were part of the last session, I would say it's humbling and inspiring to walk among you, to hear your stories, your struggles, and your hopes. It's very meaningful for me to receive the Patrick Hayes Award because my two predecessors at what is now Vivo Performing Arts received the award in their time. And I know full well that it is the innovation and leadership of Walter Pierce and Marty Jones that makes it possible for me to stand here today. And I really want to say that I share this with my staff. It's their dedication, their passion, their commitment that fuels our success every day. So I share this with them and I dedicate it to them and all the artists in the world. Thank you so much. Congrats. So you can see it.
And now, our second Distinguished Arts Award. The nominating statement reads, Amir Nizar Zuabi is an award-winning theater writer and director, former artistic director of Shibuhur, former associate director of the Young Vic London. Nizar is an artist addressing some of the most pressing issues of our time with compassion and honesty. Could you please roll the video? To present the award, please welcome on stage Alfonso Leal, the chair of the ISPA Board of Directors.
Good afternoon, everyone. It's a real pleasure to introduce this year's second Distinguished Artist Award recipient, Amir Nizar Zuabi. Nizar is an award-winning playwright and director and artistic director of the Walk Productions. He began his career in Palestine, founding Shibuhur Theatre Company, and has gone on to work with theatres and festivals all around the world. I won't give you a list of what he's done because it's super extensive and you can read his biography in many places. When I have come to learn more about his work, what I have found fascinating is not what he has done, but how he thinks. He talks about the world as both simple and complicated. Simple because questions of right and wrong are in his mind very clear. Complicated because human beings with their histories, traumas, loves and loyalties never fit neatly into us and them. He describes himself very plainly as Jewish, Muslim and Palestinian and refuses to accept that these parts must be in conflict. Instead, instead of choosing one side against the other, he insists that they belong together in all their tension and richness. Projects like Little Amal, the 9-year-old refugee girl who walked through our streets, or The Herds, which brings the climate crisis into public space with moving herds of animals, highlight issues that are usually reduced to headlines, numbers, or slogans. He gives them a specific, fragile, human face, using theatre to make complexity visible, but also to make responsibility feel very simple. In 2026, They are premiering And Still No Mercy, a new work about grief, vulnerability, and mercy in a time of global upheaval. Today, here at ISPA, we are honoring an artist who reminds us that it is possible to live with contradiction without giving up on clarity and to tell stories that refuse to choose between one part of our humanity and another. Please join me in welcoming the 2026 second ISPA Distinguished Award recipient, Amir Nizar Zuabi.
Thank you very much. Thank you. It's very humbling to be here. And of course, the Distinguished Artist Award is such a prestigious award, and receiving it from my peers, from my family, from my tribe, is especially meaningful, and thank you for the board of ISPA. What we try and do is civil disobedience in means of beauty. We try to create art that matters, that talks about the politics of the day, that talks about the pains of the world today. I'm a Palestinian. I grew up under occupation, and in the last 2 years, I've, like a lot of us, like a lot of you, have been negotiating tremendous amounts of grief in the bosom of this genocide. I want to dedicate the award that I'm receiving to all the amazing artists that come from Palestine and from other oppressed places around the world. Their voices matter. Their clarity matters. There is a long conversation about resilience in this conference, and resilience is important because resilience allows us to breathe when we're oppressed, under pressure. But like we heard in this incredible panel today, resistance is also important. And I'm asking you not to run to the door when a Palestinian says resistance, because I'm speaking about resistance through means of beauty, which is important. Resistance is important because in a storm, in a perfect storm, and we are in a time of a storm, we are in a time of supremacy and hate. We're in a time of untruthfulness. We're in a time of double standards. In this time, resistance is our responsibility as artists, each one in his way. We're all in this together now. This is a global phenomenon. It's not Palestine. Basically, welcome to Palestine. You now share us instead of us sharing you, which is tragic, but it's the truth. And I invite my fellow brothers, my sisters, my fellow friends to confront this world with the responsibility it needs right now, to speak truth to power, to look at each other with love, with curiosity, because that's the only antidote. That's the only cure to the supremacy we're surrounded with. And to create things that matter in today's world. Once again, I'm humbled by this. I don't really deserve it. I know, but I'll receive it in the names of all my fellow artists that grew up alongside me in places less privileged and are working day in, day out with great truth and great commitment to create a reality that matters. Thank you very, very much. I'm very grateful. Thank you. Congratulations, Gaurav. Congratulations.
Love that, man. All right, we've come to the end. Thank you for joining us. One more round of applause, please, for all our incredible recipients. Before I hand over and call this to a close, it would be very remiss of me not to do one more shout out to encourage you all to please come to Singapore. I think, I really thought Eng Tiong's speech was incredibly heartfelt. He talked about how we have beach weather all year round. He talked about how our second language is food, and that is the common denominator amongst all Singaporeans. We start every day with, have you had your lunch? It's a rhetorical question. What he did not talk about, and probably because he is the head of the National Arts Council, and what I can talk about because I'm the head of a theater organization, is we have some of the best cocktail bars in the world. If you Google world's best cocktail bars, there is a disproportionate number in Singapore. And for my friends who I misled over the last 48 hours, drinks on me in one of them. So please come to Singapore. To wrap, please welcome back on stage our co-chairs, Josephine Ridge and Paul Tam. Thank you very much.
Hi. Ooh, that's very low. At the beginning, we said that we hoped that together that we would do what we can do best in the arts. We can be creative and we can be honest and we can be fearless. And that we can ask the right questions and find some answers. I feel we made a fairly good stab at it. I hope that you all can agree. In Australia, we would say we gave it a fair shake of the sauce bottle. So thank you all. As participants, I think this has been the most engaged participant audience of an ISPA conference that I've ever attended. You all gave so much towards the success of the conversation and the vitality of the exchanges. So thank you all. As we said at the beginning, thank you for being here. And now I'll say also thank you for participating so enthusiastically. We were all given the gift of so many valuable thoughts. And so much was considered, and much of it was deadly serious. But also, there was a lot of laughter, the warm sound of colleagues spending valuable time together. So take away your thoughts and hopefully continue those conversations wherever you may find yourselves together in another room.
Well, it's coming to an end. I am a sentimental kind of a guy who hates to say goodbye, but I think it's time to say it now. But I just want to say it's a great honor to be asked to co-chair this year's conference alongside Josephine, and she's done all the heavy lifting. I have done almost nothing, and so the reason why it's so important is that at that time of the year that brilliant arts professionals come together. And brilliant arts professional, whether you are young leaders or superstars and you know who you are, and come together and share experience, share stories, and to share a common experience. And so every January in the very wintry, this year's particularly warm. Last year was so cold. I actually developed like, what's it called, cold hives? I actually got hives from the cold. And so, so the wintry New York City, and arts becomes the nucleus that unites us all. And with what looks like to be a year of crisis, we talked a lot about crisis and turmoil and conflict. With that ahead of us, I hope, this conference the last 3 days have given you enough fuel and a sense of solidarity to march right on.
So, on behalf of the Planning Committee, that's Emily, Shoshana, Brandel, Reem, Paul, and myself. We want to thank again David and Mara and the whole ISPA team. And in that, I also want to mention, Alfonso and the board of ISPA and the committees, because all of those people do so much behind the scenes towards the success of every Congress. Thank you to our three provocateurs. Thank you to all the panelists, all the hosts, and also to all those artists who really put themselves out there at the pitch session, which was a really fantastic morning, I think, for all of us. And congratulations from us to all of the award winners. And that's it from me.
Okay,
so you've got more to add.
Just very quickly. So I hope you all come away feeling intellectually challenged and stimulated and spiritually nourished. And talking about nourishment, Singapore. So I hope to see you all in. I have to promote it all over again. I love Singapore. I love Singapore. And so we talked about nourishment. And Intong, you talked about chili crab. My favorite is pepper crab. And also, Singapore has the most evil, but most delicious food in the world. It's not the Big Mac. It is the salted egg yolk prawns, right? So each plate contains about 300,000 calories. But you would just love to actually dive for it. So I invite you all to come to Singapore this May. And so on that note, yum and goodbye.
Thank you all.